Back in 2008, an American legend went dark. The doors of Boyd Coddington's garage were locked without warning. Inside, the work stopped in a single night. Unfinished engines were left behind, waiting for hands that never returned. Half-built cars stood frozen, silent under the weight of time. The smell of oil and steel lingered, trapped within the walls. For 17 years, no one was allowed to enter. The building itself became a shadow of its past. Rumors spread across the car world, each one heavier than the last. Some claimed hidden hot rods worth millions were still inside. Others believed lost designs and secret blueprints were sealed away forever. But the truth remained locked behind those doors. This was not just a garage. It was a kingdom where American hot rods were born. And when it closed, an entire era came to an end. Workers disappeared, families mourned, fans were left with silence. Yet one question refused to die. Did Boyd leave behind a final blueprint that could change car history forever? Now, in 2025, the chains are gone. The lock is broken. And for the first time, the hidden truth of Boyd's garage will be revealed. Boyd Coddington was born in 1944 in Rupert, Idaho. He grew up in a small town where dreams often stayed small. But Boyd's dream was different. By the late 1960s, he was working as a machinist at Disneyland by night. And by day, he was sketching and shaping visions of hot rods in his mind. He wasn't rich. He didn't own fancy tools, but his vision was priceless. He could see beauty in raw steel where others only saw rust. Every broken part looked like a chance to create something new. Every old frame looked like a story waiting to be told. In 1977, Boyd opened a small shop in Orange County. He called it Hot Rods by Boyd. It was just one man, a lathe, and a rented garage. But inside those walls, history was about to change. Imagine this. One man, bent over his tools, sparks flying, metal bending. Piece by piece, he built cars that no one else could imagine. What started as a dream in a quiet garage soon became a movement people began to notice. The lines of his cars were different, sleek, sharp, and modern. He mixed classic American muscle with elegance, and the world took notice. From the outside, it looked impossible. How could a small-town machinist rise to become the king of hot rods? The answer was simple. He built cars that no one could ignore, and one creation in particular would make him unstoppable. But what was that car? What was the single design that turned Boyd from a dreamer into a legend? The answer came in 1988. Boyd Coddington introduced something the world had never seen. He created billet aluminum wheels, solid, gleaming, and sharp. They looked like jewelry for cars. No one had ever shaped aluminum like this before. These wheels were not parts, they were statements. In that moment, Boyd had rewritten the rules of custom cars. And then came 1989. Boyd unveiled his greatest masterpiece, a 1949 Cadillac, reborn as something futuristic. He called it Cad Z-Zilla. It was built for Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top. The car became an instant icon. It wasn't just a car anymore, it was a moving sculpture. A machine that looked like it came from another time. With Cad Z-Zilla, Boyd proved he could bend metal and bend history at the same time. The industry froze in awe. Overnight, Boyd's small shop became a global stage. Celebrities called, rock stars lined up, even big automakers wanted his touch. Boyd was no longer just a builder, he was now a legend. Every car lover knew his name. But legends come with a cost. Fame is a dangerous engine. Once it starts racing, it can go too fast. And Boyd's rise was only beginning to spin out of control. Because with every masterpiece came new pressure. And pressure, like horsepower, can destroy if not handled carefully. The question became clear. What happens when success drives you straight into disaster? By the mid-1990s, Boyd's empire was at its peak. His cars were winning awards. His shop was busy day and night. And in 1995, his company even went public on NASDAQ. For a hot rod builder, this was history. Boyd had taken custom cars from garages to Wall Street. But growth comes with a heavy price. Rapid expansion burned through money faster than it came in. Projects piled up. Costs rose higher and higher. And by January 1998, the dream collapsed. Boyd's wheels filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Losses hit $465,000 in just 1 month. Layoffs followed. Workers who had built his kingdom were forced to walk away. Fans who worshipped him could not believe it. Their hero was being pushed out of his own empire. The man who turned steel into legends was now losing his crown. Rumors spread quickly. Was Boyd finished? Had his time finally run out? The truth was brutal. He had built an empire of chrome, but the foundation beneath it was already cracking. Boyd was no longer the king. He was a fallen giant. The shops went quiet. The future looked empty. Yet deep inside, Boyd was not ready to stop. Because legends don't disappear so easily. The kingdom had collapsed, but the man still lived. And his fire to build was not gone. How do you rebuild after losing everything? By the year 2000, Boyd refused to stay down. He returned with his son and started again. This time the name was Boyd Coddington's Garage. And with it came a new brand, Boyd Coddington Wheels. From the ashes of failure came the sound of engines again. It was proof that legends don't die easy. Boyd had fallen hard, but he chose to rise harder. The small shop became his second chance. Step by step, project by project, Boyd rebuilt his name. And by 2006, his comeback had momentum. Platinum Equity acquired his wheel division. His wheel designs were licensed through American Racing. Boyd's name was back on cars across the country. Fans saw the old magic return. Builders respected the man who never gave up. From the outside, it looked like the king had reclaimed his crown. But there was more waiting just ahead. A twist no one expected. Because Boyd was about to step into a spotlight bigger than the car world. He was heading for television. And TV fame was unlike anything he had faced before. The cameras would capture not just the builds, but the pressure. Not just the cars, but the clashes. The garage itself would become a stage for millions to see. Boyd was back on the map, no question. But the question was dangerous. Could television heal the wounds of bankruptcy? Or would it open new ones for the whole world to watch? What really happened when Boyd's Garage became reality TV? In 2004, the world saw Boyd in a new way. The Discovery Channel launched a show called American Hot Rod. Millions tuned in every week. They watched deadlines turn into drama. They saw sparks fly in the shop and tempers flare in the office. Boyd's Garage was no longer private. It had become a stage for the world, and the cars were unforgettable. Creations like the Aluma Coupe and the Boydster became household names. Every build felt like history in motion. Every deadline felt like a race against time. But behind the bright lights, the cracks began to show. The pressure of cameras never stopped. Crew members clashed under Boyd's perfection. Some walked out of the garage forever. Others left to join his former protege, Chip Foose. To viewers, Boyd looked like a perfectionist chasing excellence. But inside, the pressure was breaking him. The garage that once felt like a kingdom now felt like a storm. Deadlines, arguments, stress. The spotlight made Boyd more famous than ever, but fame also made the weight impossible to hide. And then, in late 2007, tragedy struck. Boyd fell gravely ill. The man who had built an empire of steel was now fighting for his own life. The show kept rolling. The cars kept coming, but the king himself was fading. An empire built on speed had been forced to slow down, and the question became unavoidable. What happens to an empire when its king is gone? On February 27th, 2008, the world of hot rodding stopped. Boyd Coddington died at the age of 63. The news hit fans like a shockwave. The man who shaped an era was suddenly gone. The shop that once roared with engines fell silent. The sound of sparks and tools was no more. 4 months later, on June 20th, 2008, the silence became final. The doors of Boyd's Garage were locked forever. The same place that had created legends was sealed shut. No more builds, no more chrome, no more history being made. Fans felt the emptiness. It was as if a piece of American car culture had been buried. The epicenter of hot rod design was now a closed tomb, but silence only fueled curiosity. Rumors began to spread. Some said unfinished projects were left inside. Others whispered about lost designs hidden under tarps. A few even believed secret fortunes were locked away. The truth was unknown, and the mystery grew larger with every passing year. The garage, once a kingdom, became a shrine of questions. It was no longer just a building. It was a tomb of legends. And with it came myths that refused to die. For 17 years, the lock stayed shut. Fans could only imagine what secrets waited in the dark. But were those rumors true? What really lay inside Boyd's locked garage? For 17 years, the world was left to wonder. Boyd's Garage stayed locked, but the stories never stopped. Online, myths spread like wildfire. Some claimed secret blueprints were hidden inside. Others believed unfinished cars slept under dusty covers. A few even whispered about letters of betrayal locked away forever. Every car lover had the same dream: to step into that frozen shop, to walk past the covered frames and untouched tools, to uncover history with their own hands. But reality was colder. The garage had closed, the assets were sold, the reality show was canceled, and no credible source ever confirmed the wild stories. The rumors grew larger than the truth. Fans wanted a legend to believe in, but all that remained was silence. 17 years of silence, 17 years of dust and doubt. The building stood like a ghost, a monument to a man gone too soon. Yet hope refused to die, because myths live longer than facts, and the myth of Boyd's garage only grew with time. But then in 2025, everything changed. The lock was broken, the doors creaked open, and the world prepared to face the truth at last. What waited inside those walls? What would they finally discover after all these years? In 2025, the silence finally ended. The lock was broken. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, Boyd's garage opened. The world held its breath. Fans expected hidden gold, betrayal letters, maybe even fortune. But the truth was different. Inside, there were no piles of treasure, no shocking letters, no secret vault of wealth. Instead, the room told a quieter story. Partially finished cars stood under dust. Scattered sketches lay across old tables. And in the middle, one secret Boyd had never shared. It wasn't money. It wasn't fame. It was a blueprint. His last unfinished design. A vision for a car he never had the chance to build. Simple lines drawn in pencil, curves that looked ahead of their time. Details only Boyd could imagine. The realization struck hard. Boyd's legacy wasn't hidden fortune. It wasn't even the cars themselves. It was his vision. The dream of perfection frozen on paper. The pursuit of beauty that never stopped, even when his hands did. That blueprint revealed the truth. It showed what Boyd had been chasing all along. Not just speed, not just fame, but the perfect expression of art in steel. The garage did not hide riches. It hid a dream that still had the power to inspire. So the question remained, what was this hidden design? And why does it still matter today? The truth inside Boyd's garage was not what people expected. There was no hidden fortune. There was no secret vault of cars. What they found was more powerful. A simple blueprint. The final car design Boyd never finished. Proof that even at the very end, his imagination never stopped. For years, fans had believed the lock hid wealth or machines, but the twist was clear. What Boyd left was not money. It was his last dream, drawn in pencil, outlined in curves that spoke louder than engines. An unfinished sketch that revealed the fire inside him never went out. And in that sketch lay the ultimate lesson. Legacy is not about what you finish. It is about what you inspire others to keep building. The cars may fade, the chrome may rust, but the dream continues. Boyd's final blueprint showed that legends never truly die. They remain alive in every spark, every wheel, every design that follows. The unfinished lines on that paper were not a failure. They were a reminder that greatness is not measured by endings. It is measured by the dreams we leave behind. Back in 2008, people thought Boyd's story had ended with silence, but what he truly left behind wasn't locked in steel. It was alive, in memory, alive in the vision of a man who saw beauty in metal and never stopped chasing perfection. And now comes the question for all of us. If your life ended tomorrow, what blueprint would you leave behind? Boyd Coddington may be gone, but his vision still roars through every builder he inspired. Every custom car with bold lines carries a part of his dream. Every wheel cut from metal echoes his imagination. Sometimes the greatest treasure is not what you finish. It is what you spark in others. Boyd's unfinished blueprint proves this truth, because even in silence, his ideas kept moving. And today, his story reminds us that legends never fade. They live in memory. They live in inspiration. They live in every dream that dares to continue. If you want more hidden stories of legends, lost empires, and secrets finally revealed, subscribe now and tell us, do you think Boyd's unfinished blueprint should finally be built, or should it remain untouched, a symbol of his lasting legacy?